What astounding technical developments are being made to protect mankind? Robot Monster brings you an actual preview of the devastating forces of our future. Unsuspected revelations of incredible horrors that will terrify you with their brutal reality.
There is no escape from me. Very well. I will recalculate. Your death will be indescribable. Fool humans, there is no escape.
You are interested in the unknown, the mysterious, the unexplainable. That is why you are here.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Project Archivist. This is our second take at re-recording the entry. Well, this is our first take at re-recording the entry of the show. So I sort of got one of these days I'm just going to have you start the show. It's going to happen. But what is the date today? It's
26th?
Yeah, 26th, 12:48 a.m. This is Rojan.
And this is Lobo.
So yeah, basically we had a bunch of drama go down in the last couple of weeks between both of our personal lives. We're doing fine. I'm doing fine. I think you're doing fine. So we're all back on course again. I do want to thank everybody for the outpouring of support that I got, and I know you got a lot of support from people. Mm-hmm. So suffice to say, we're doing pretty well now. I would have
to say so, yeah.
Everything's peachy, except for the fact that the weather changes going through, and my head just feels like someone's taking a drill and going in and out, and it's just
Yeah, and I'm staring down the barrel of a hurricane that we're supposed to get 80-mile-an-hour plus wind.
You think that's going to hit you?
Oh, yeah.
You know what? On that note, I'm glad you said that. We have a lot of fans that are in the hurricane path. Mm-hmm. Cynthia, Aaron down in Florida. You know, there's so many people that listen to the show that are in that path. But you guys take care. By the time you guys hear this, the hurricane will probably have passed.
Let's hope so.
You know, I hope you guys made it through all right. Cynthia, I hope you managed to live through your chili eating ordeals with lots of ice. I'll explain that another time.
Oh, my God.
So, and then this week also, I touched on it last time we recorded, so I'm going to touch on it briefly again. Bud Hopkins passed on us this last week, and he was a major player in the documentation of the world of UFO abductions. When I was a kid, I used to work for a local grocery store, and on my lunch breaks, I used to sneak off and read Invaders when that book came out. And then that was also when I read, Whitley Strieber's book. What the name of it? Whatever it was. Communion, that's the one. Yes, the pain medication is beginning to set in now.
Wonderful.
So I'll be in a loopy manner of a different form tonight.
Got any Mountain Dew?
No. But I wanted, just basically, thumbs up, shout out to Bud. Hope you've achieved all the answers you were looking for wherever you're at right now. And in honor of him, I'll cover a UFO story.
Go for it.
And this is kind of a historical piece in some regards. It's kind of where the term little green men come from, because back in the day when someone was going nuts or when they saw UFOs, they used to say, oh, you're seeing little green men. Mm. Well, this is the story of where that story came from. So I guess I'll just jump right into it. This comes from Paranormal Old Pueblo, which at first I thought was a pretty off-the-wall site, but now that I've actually done some digging around it, it's a pretty cool site. Mm-hmm. And this is the Kelly Hopkinsville Encounter, a UFO horror story. Consider Steven Spielberg's E.T., Night Skies, Gremlins, and just about every alien invasion and horror movie. Every once in a while, one has to ask, how did they come up with that? For Steven Spielberg, the three aforementioned movies were inspired by one incident that took place on August 21st, 1955 in rural Kentucky. It involved silver-clad beings whose movements defied what was thought to be humanly possible. The incidents bring to mind just about nearly every slasher and alien invasion movie made. A modern film that comes to mind is M. Night's Shyamalan blah 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 shish kebab Signs. It brings forth the fears of invasion. Strange beings attempt to find a way into your home while you are essentially trapped and helpless inside, fighting for your life. Just the mere thought sends chills down your spine when you find yourself in a remote isolation with no way of making contact with the outside world. The Kelly-Hopkinsville encounter may have started with an incident reported the night before on August 20th. Area residents reported seeing strange flashing lights in the sky, something unusual that would come to be associated with UFO sightings. The next evening, something extremely terrifying occurred on the rural Sutton family farm. You know, every time I say rural,
Oh, yeah.
you know where I'm going with this.
Transmissions.
While their friends, the Levies, were over for the night, the two families, totaling 7 people, claimed that they were terrorized by an unknown number of creatures similar to gremlins. In popular culture, the creatures are sometimes referred to as the Hopkinsville goblins. The cliché phrase, the little green men, originated from this incident. The families referred to these beings as little silver men and never changed a word of their original story, recounted to the law enforcement and military officials from that night forward. Here's a little piece of the original Hopkinsville encounter. Of course, this is coming from Wikipedia. Yeah, I know, but I'm not really worried about the source material for this. The goblins were 3 feet tall and with upright pointed ears, thin limbs. Their legs were said to be almost in a state of atrophy, long arms, and claw-like hands or talons. These creatures were either silvery in color or wearing something metallic. Their movements on occasion seemed to defy gravity, with their floating above the ground and appearing at high places, and they walked with a swaying motion as they were wading through water. Although the creatures never entered the house, they would pop up at windows and at the doorway, working up the children in the house into a hysterical frenzy. The use of firearms for defense had little or no apparent effect on the creatures. The families were able to flee the farmhouse to reach help. Sheriff Russell Greenwell testified that the families were visibly shaken when they arrived. The sheriff and 20 officers returned to the farmhouse with the families to see the damage. They also saw strange lights, heard strange noises, but didn't see any of the creatures by the time they got there. Despite many theories explaining the incident, the case remains unsolved to this day. Skeptics latch on to the words talon and claws from the description provided by the Sutton and Levy families. These words led them to deduce that the creatures were nothing more than great horned owls. The explanation doesn't make sense for a rural family accustomed to activity of these creatures moving about in the darkness. And then it goes on to make some references to other movies and chupacabras and things like that. But that's basically the story. And as I said last time we recorded this, I am so sick and tired of UFO alien encounters being referred to as owls. And I like how, again, this is where skeptics bother me. A lot of skeptics bother me because they're just as wacky in the other direction. It's like, all right, here's the entire story. We've laid it all out for you. We were shooting these things with shotguns, blah, blah, blah. And they go, oh yeah, talons. Those were owls. That's not an alien. That's nothing. Nah, you didn't. You know, well, they would look like they were walking through water. Yeah, owls will do that sometimes, you know.
Jesus was an owl?
Yeah, really. Yeah, I just thought it was a really cool, it's like one of those things that I like to cover on the show, neat little historical pieces to give people a reference or something like that. And last time we covered this and we did our first recording, you were talking about how when people shoot a shotgun with a slug in it, that things disintegrate when you get shot by a slug from, especially an owl is going to just, not be an owl anymore. It's going
12 gauge high brass. Yeah. There's going to be nothing left.
It's going to be a mound of feathers and blood and guts and things like that. And these things weren't affected by being shot at.
Nope.
So, but you were saying that you knew about this story. So.
Oh yeah. I heard about it years ago.
Yeah, it's one of those ones that you hear floating around every once in a while, but I just thought it would be neat to share it with everyone.
Sure. It's a good story, man.
So.
Concentrate.
We're going to move on to the next story, which is from Mail Online, and it's Superman memory crystals to become a reality as scientists store computer data on powerful glass hard drive. I think Miles was the one that posted this up on our Facebook page. Normally, I don't like to pull stuff off the Facebook page because you're the same way. We like to have fresh content for people. And I think we have a fair amount of fans that go to our Facebook page and check out stuff on there. Which, by the way, if you're not and you're on Facebook, either friend myself, Rojan Razorwire on Facebook, or Lobo, and we'll add you to it. Or you can just find Project Archivist on Facebook, and we'll add you to it, because a lot of stuff gets posted in there. Mm-hmm. But I warn you, so much stuff gets posted in there that you're probably going to want to turn off your notifications if you get stuff sent to your phone. We've had a lot of fans be like, I can't be in this forum anymore because my phone is blowing up and you're killing my battery. But I'm meandering again. So back to the story. Superman memory crystals to become a reality as scientists store computer data on powerful glass hard drives. This is pretty cool. I don't know if it's going to take off or not. It'll be cool if it does. But here's the story, which comes from Mail Online. And computer users could soon be saving their work onto hard drives made of glass after scientists develop memory crystals similar to those in Superman films. Researchers have used laser beams to alter glass to make it possible to store memory inside, just as Clark Kent does in his Fortress of Solitude. They say the crystals will be able to store much more than the conventional hard drives and are less prone to overheating or damage. The article goes on to say, currently the glass shards can store up to 50 gigabytes of data. And it's cool because these things are about as big as a quarter in the picture on here. The equivalent of a whole Blu-ray disc on a piece the size of a mobile phone screen. They can also withstand temperatures of up to 1,800 degrees Fahrenheit and last for thousands of years without the quality of data stored degrading. The process works by putting tiny dots called voxels into pure silicate glass, which changes the way light moves through it. These voxels can then be read using an optical decoder, allowing the user to write or delete data as often as they like. Lead researcher Martianas Barasana. God.
You did it. You hit it.
Did I hit it? Did I say it right? Okay. At Southampton's University of Optoelectronics. Optoelectronics. There we go. That's a really off-the-wall word. Research Center said it wouldn't be Project Archivist without me mispronouncing something.
Oh, man.
This is why we don't charge people for our show. Anyways, we have developed this memory, which means data can be stored on the glass and last forever. It could become a very stable and safe form of portable memory. It could be very useful for organizations with big archives. At the moment, companies have to back up their archives every 5 or 10 years because hard drive memory has a relatively short lifespan. Museums who want to preserve the information, or places like the National Archives, where they have huge numbers of documents, would really benefit. Researchers are now working on a Lithuanian company to market the crystals.
Lithuanian.
Wow. Did I really just do that?
You said Lithuanian. Where's
I know.
that exactly?
You know what? As I was reading it, my brain was going, you're not saying this right.
It's the Mountain Dew.
We're getting sidetracked again. In the Superman film series, The Fortress of Solitude, shut up. The Fortress of Solitude was created by crystal placed aboard a spacecraft Superman is put on to escape the war of his home planet Krypton. The teenage Clark Kent, blah, 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 goes on and goes on. The memory crystals contain holograms and sound recordings of Superman's parents, Jor-El, Laura, which basically that's where the story meanders off and it isn't much interesting anymore. But these are cool. The picture that it shows is about the size of a quarter with a little dot in the middle. I don't find this all... It's very cool, but I'm not surprised by this because now you can go out and get a family portrait laser cut into a block of glass and have light shining below it and have a three-dimensional picture of yourself or whatever you want to put into these glasses. So the technology has been there to do this for a while. This is just the next logical step. But it still is very cool. If they can put 50 gigs on something that's as big as a quarter, what if they start, what happens when they perfect this technology and it gets a little bit better and you can start throwing this stuff into actual computers?
Good stuff, man.
I think it's pretty neat. Plus the fact that there's a lot more durability to it. And like it brings up, that's one of the problems we face with technology and computers now is in a couple of years, everything that we put on a computer or however way you store it, in a couple of years, that's all going to be obsolete. When you look back into the 70s and 80s when they had the big giant rooms full of some supercomputers with the tape reels running that stored data, and that all got replaced by floppy disks. Now that's all being replaced. every so many years they have to take all the data and they have to reorganize it and truncate it and condense it down into something else because technology moves along. With this, if they had a disk the size of a CD, imagine how much data that could hold and how long it could last because it doesn't degrade.
Yeah. That's almost bulletproof right there.
The idea behind it's pretty neat. So, I don't know. Thought it was pretty cool. It's we haven't covered much technology stories lately, so I figured I'd throw that one in there.
No, sadly, no, we haven't. So this one's from Yahoo.com. It's reindeer herder finds baby mammoth in Russia Arctic. Moscow. This is brought to us by Reuters, Reuters, Readers, Rotters, whatever. A reindeer herder in Russia's Arctic has stumbled on a prehistoric remains of a baby woolly mammoth poking out of the permafrost, local officials said on Friday. The herder said the carcass was as perfectly preserved as the 40,000-year-old mammoth calf Lyuba, discovered in the same remote region 4 years ago, authorities said, adding that an expedition had set off hoping to confirm the sensational find. If it's true what is said about how it is preserved, this will be another sensation of global significance. Expedition leader Natalia Fedorova
Good enough.
said, and sure, in a statement, she's never going to hear us, in a statement on the Arctic Yamala-Nestic region's official website. Scientists plan to fly the mammoth's remains to the regional capital, Selekgard, where it would be stored in a cooler to prevent the remains from decomposing. Giant woolly mammoths have been extinct since the Earth's last ice age, 1.8 million to around 11,500 years ago. Scientists worldwide were stunned by the discovery of Lyuba, named after the wife of the hunter who discovered her. Arctic ice kept the extinct specimen so immaculately preserved that although her shaggy coat was gone, her skin and internal organs were intact. That's it. That's the story.
So how long has this thing been frozen for?
At least 40,000 years.
And the DNA and everything is still intact in it?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So we were talking about cloning, perspective on cloning this thing.
Yep.
What is the likelihood that they could take DNA from this and actually clone to make some kind of woolly mammoth? I know we would have to have male, female, etc.
No, you don't.
Okay.
What they do is they take the DNA and they start to replicate it. And once they start replicating, they can place the replicated DNA into a blastocyst, which is the egg. They remove the internal structure of the egg, and then it just continues to replicate. If you have all the DNA sequence from that genome, theoretically, you don't necessarily need a male and female. You can start growing this animal, and the closest living relative, I believe, is the Indian elephant. So there you go. For all intents and purposes, because you're using an Indian elephant as a host, what you're going to have is a hairy elephant, which is going to be
mammoth-like traits.
Well, it'll look exactly like a mammoth.
Okay.
But the genome will be closer to it'll be a hybrid of sorts. Mm-hmm. It'll be closer to, because the surrogate will still have to be a living, breathing organism, which would be a female Indian elephant. So it's going to have some transfer back and forth between the egg and the mother. But for all intents and purposes, you got a woolly mammoth. Bang.
All right, here, let's take this one step further, because this is something else that I was thinking about. Let's say that they do what you just described happening. You have essentially an Indian elephant that looks like a mammoth. It's going to have it's going to have mammoth traits in it, obviously.
Well, it'll have all the mammoth DNA.
So therefore, in theory, correct me if I'm wrong, say you made this female one. Would it be possible, therefore, later on down the road to possibly make a male one and simply keep breeding the Indian DNA characteristics out of it to get to a point where you've basically bred yourself back into an actual mammoth again?
You can, but
it would take a lot.
Well, no, it's not that it would take a lot. There's the distinct possibility that when you do have a hybrid, that it may come out sterile. So there may not be the possibility of breeding. Okay. In all likelihood, there's a really good chance that you could breed. But again, you'd have to do genetic modification to be able to remove that inherent trait that was brought over by it being from an egg from an Indian elephant.
Which brings us to a story that we're going to talk about later on, where I'm going to warn everybody, Lobo goes off on kind of a rant. And it's really weird because the episode gets incredibly funny, and then Lobo reads a piece, and then it gets kind of weird for a little bit. So I'm preparing everybody up front.
And
that
ragey.
Story, yeah, it's he gets a little ragey, and it's kind of odd because we're gonna go into a big for the law out there segment, and then Lobo just kind of brings it right back down again to like, huh. So this is your
things down.
Yeah, this is your pre-warning for what's coming up.
Are you troubled by irregularity? Then listen to Access Denied, Humans Defective. 9 out of 10 doctors say you'll shit yourself every time. Access Denied, Humans Defective. Download it from iTunes or directly from the show website at accessdeniedradio.com.
All right, this is where the show is going to start to go off the deep end. And from here on, it's going to be a wild ride all the way out. Because try as we might to find some really serious stories, we just kept getting drawn to this stuff. So I guess I'll just jump right in, and we'll go right for the deep stuff and just keep on going from there. And this story comes from Gizmodo, which is from Jalopnik. The story is labeled under WTF, which should probably follow the course of this episode. And the story is labeled, Greyhound Bus Accidentally Dumps Bull Semen on Highway. Everyone is confused. A Greyhound bus on a slightly less than normal trip to Texas this morning, along with its passengers, it was carrying bull spunk. Bull spunk it dumped on a Tennessee highway. Hazmat suits were called in. It was a serious mess. The bull semen, kept frozen in 4 canisters, was on its way from Ohio to a breeding facility in Texas. But after Greyhound dropped the load, the canister started to steam, kick up a foul odor. Gross. Emergency crews shut down the on-ramp near where the canisters fell, and it took 3 hours to clean up the site. I just have one question. What's a Greyhound bus doing carrying bull semen in the first place? Yeah, that's a good question. Why is a Greyhound bus carrying bull semen? I wouldn't even know to call Greyhound up and say, hi, I've got some frozen bull spunk and I need to have sent. How much do you charge for something like that? You would just think that Greyhound would be like, no, we don't do that kind of thing. And the stuff's frozen. You know, it's like, is it a normal thing to put frozen stuff like that and probably liquid nitrogen or whatever it is on a bus?
It's probably cheaper than flying it.
Yeah, but how do you call Greyhound up and ask them to do something like that?
You don't. You just put it on. I need a Stow and Go section. Contents.
Bull semen.
Yeah. Let's just say it's something cold.
So what do you got?
Oh, this one is made of awesome. This one comes from the news.com. And it's Russian man kills wife with homemade missile. That's right. I said missile. Russian authorities were today probing the freak death of a woman killed by a homemade missile launched by her husband. The victim was looking on as her aviation enthusiast spouse assembled his makeshift rocket in a field, RIA Novosti reported. But the launch went horribly wrong when the missile blasted off and veered toward her, striking the woman in the head. Authorities in Vologda, northwest Russia, said the wife was rushed to the hospital but died soon after the accident, which happened earlier this month. During the launch, the model rocket veered off course and hit his wife in the head. The woman died in the hospital, investigators said today. The 42-year-old husband, who works for an aviation company, could face up to 2 years in prison for manslaughter, the state-owned Russian news agency said. Now, okay, 2 things come to mind. 1, did he buy her and could not afford her anymore? And 2, in the head. That's a headshot.
I was just thinking the old Quake thing came into mind. Headshot.
Yeah, well,
and with a rocket launcher too.
Oh my god! And considering the story you read before, would this be the money shot?
Did the guy think he was playing Halo or something?
Oh my god! She just got fragged.
That has to suck. You're there like, look, honey, I shall launch this rocket, and the wife's probably like, yeah, my husband's a geek. I'll be here to support him, whatever. Then he fires it off, and it veers towards, and it's like the Dane Cook thing. Did the missile have a vengeance? You know?
Yes. Yes.
Was she like the Highlander and tried to swat it out of the way and it just took her head off?
See, this is what I don't understand. The dude's in a field. He launches this off.
The only thing he can hit is his wife.
Exactly.
The only thing he can hit.
I'm calling shenanigans on this. I think he needed to kill her, and just brought her out into the field.
Dude, there's got to be better ways. What do you?
It's inventive.
What do you? How do you do that?
There's no words.
The worst thing you can do is hit the grass. I launch rockets. I have a basement full of homemade Estes model rockets and stuff that me and my kids launch these things. And I've launched some rockets that have done some pretty crazy stuff. And there's been times where I've launched them and I see it go up and it veers and it spins and it starts going towards the Little League baseball field. And then at the last second, the parachute will pop out and I'll relax and be like, oh, okay, that's cool. So I can sort of relate. I've never had a rocket veer and like headhunt for the nearest person in the field next to me. I might have, but...
But maybe it was a heat-seeking missile?
And moving on to Helsinki, which is the Helsinki Grecian hair formula. This is, it's pointless to even say that these are weird because we've crossed that.
The theme of the show, man. We jumped off the deep end a while ago.
This is Ferry runs aground after Captain stuck in toilet. I can totally relate to this.
Poop, poop.
Helsinki, and the source of the article is Yahoo News, but it's courtesy of Reuters. Helsinki, a Finnish ferry has run aground while its captain was stuck in the bathroom. One member of the staff managed to slow the island-hopping tourist ferry down, but the vessel carrying 54 passengers slammed into the rock near the shore of Helsinki. The Finnish Coast Guard said Friday. The captain got stuck in the bathroom because of a jammed lock and yelled for help, the Coast Guard said. Some passengers were bruised and the tableware was broken in the incident. The Coast Guard is investigating whether the captain's actions amounted to criminal endangerment. He was stuck in the toilet. As soon as a staff member got the door open, it was too late, said Jan Sandell, head of the investigation. So, nobody on the boat could say, hey, the captain's in the John, maybe we should slow this thing down.
That's the part that probably troubles me the most. If he's the only dude on the boat, I'm never getting on the boat.
Captain, we're getting a little close to the shore.
Not now.
Captain, we're really getting close to the shore. We really need you out here to slow the boat down. I got some corn in here, and I think there's some cherries and some peanuts. I'm really out of
When did I eat peanuts?
Exactly. This is retarded. Nobody can stop the boat.
No.
They're finished. That's why.
There you go.
It's the finish.
It's the finish.
Finish couldn't finish.
No. Apparently not. Pinch off and get out here.
All right. This story is really stupid, but hey, it's going in the show. What do you got next?
How about Noah's Ark?
How about Noah's Ark?
How about it?
One boat to another.
There you go. This one seems a little more plausible. This is from news.gather.com. It's modern-day Noah's Ark being built in Amish, Kentucky?
You want me to sing the song again?
No.
Okay.
In a scene straight out of Evan Almighty, a religious group including Amish carpenters is rebuilding Noah's Ark to exact biblical specifications in the farmlands of Kentucky. That's right, I said Kentucky. But the group is not claiming that it's for protection against the coming deluge, but rather proof that Noah was capable of the task thousands of years ago. I'm going to stop right there. Thousands of years ago, they're building it today in 2011 to prove that Noah was capable of the task thousands of years ago.
Okay.
Flawed logic?
Possibly. Continue.
The message here is, God's word is true, said Mike Zovath. Maybe I'm not the right guy to read this. Project manager for Answer in Genesis, the Christian ministry undertaking the project in Hebron, Kansas, or Kentucky. Wow, why did I say Kansas? There's a lot of doubt.
Carry on, my wayward son.
Oh my God! Don't. Oh,
strange choice of words. But continue.
Could Noah have built a boat this big? Could he have put all the animals on the boat? Those are questions people all over the country ask. I ask whether or not the chicken in KFC is real, but whatever. The massive project will be a centerpiece at a controversial theme park / museum that has already drawn fire for its refusal to accept modern scientific dogma and representing ideas according to the strict belief that the Bible is literally true. The work on the replica Noah's Ark begins next summer and will be built mostly by Amish carpenters from Indiana. The Amish are renowned for using crafting techniques which don't rely on tools and technology invented since the beginning of the Industrial Revolution. Once again, Noah was way before the Industrial Revolution, so they should know that what they're doing. It's all part of a $155 million religious theme park called Ark Encounter, which will also showcase a replica Tower of Babel as well as ancient village. This should be...
This is what I found. It's not the fact that they're building a Noah's Ark. That doesn't really bother me a whole lot. What I find odd about this story is Amish-related theme park. That all kind of is weird. And another thing, this is odd. I'm a while back, TJ over at the Skulls, quite a while ago, actually did a story on there about how they found blueprints and things regarding to the fact that the Ark was built, or the Ark might actually be round, which I'm fine with the whole Ark story because I've seen some scientific oriented things about how the Ark could have been built and how the story might not be what we think it is and stuff, which that kind of stuff I found fascinating. I brought the opinion up that they found articles and blueprints, and they've done dating with them to find that they were from that time period of the Ark might have actually have been round and not the traditional long cigar giant boat shape that's commonly associated with the Ark. When I brought this up to some people from church, instantaneously, I wasn't detracting from the fact that Noah's Ark was built. I wasn't saying anything regardless to those facts. I was simply saying, hey, they've made these discoveries that the Ark might not actually be the shape of what the Ark is. These people went berserk. They were like, no, it was done this way, it was done that way. I'm like, I'm not stating that the Ark was never built. I'm simply saying that maybe that because they found this and, it was proven to be this and that quite possibly the Ark wasn't the shape that we normally think it is. It could have been a giant round vessel, which when you're dealing with a giant flooded massive body of water that really you're not going anywhere, you're essentially just want to float, a round vessel would be more logical for that purpose. These people weren't having any of that.
Nope.
So,
well, there's one other thing that you're missing from the whole point. Noah's Ark is spoken of in the biblical text. However, there's also an ark that's spoken of in the Epic of Gilgamesh. Every single group on the planet, for all intents and purposes, has a flood mythos.
Yeah, they do. Yes.
Every single one.
Even the Native Americans have flood mythos. Yes.
Sure. So, go Amish.
Yeah, it's just, I find the idea of Amish-oriented theme park, and even the idea of going to a Noah's Ark theme park, it's kind of like, we have one close to us. It's by Cedar Point, and you see the ads on TV for Cedar Point and roller coasters and stuff. I just can't imagine the television ads for the Noah Park, No,
I can't.
Is the Tower of Babel going to be the one where you the parachute chairs drop from the Tower of Babel?
Oh, how funny would that be? That would be great.
Do you like comic books, video games, and horror?
Green Lantern. Why the Last Man?
Gotham City Sirens.
Do you want to hear girls talking about comic books, video games, and horror?
Witchblade.
Mass Effect 3. The Boys.
Batgirl Year One.
Birds of Prey.
Tomb Raider.
Artifacts.
Fable.
Zatanna. The Darksiders.
Stop it, Luigi. I hate you.
Then have we got a show for you.
Mainly because it has boobs. I'm just kidding.
Check out the Nerd Girl's Eye View at comicrelated.com.
Oh, they're gonna talk about boobs.
New episodes every Thursday. Also available on iTunes.
Now we're going to go over to Sri Lanka. This is a police officer killed in Grease Devil riot, and oddly enough, it's from ABC News. But posted August 22nd, 2011. Angry Sri Lankans killed a police officer in the latest outbreak of violence sparked by a fear of nocturnal prowlers known popularly as Grease Devils that has gripped rural areas. There it is again in the island of. Let's do it the way it should be. Rural. We're obviously ripping that off from somebody, but hey, it's has gripped rural areas. Now I want to say it that way in the island nation over the past 2 weeks. Another officer and 5 other people were hurt in 2 separate incidents in northwestern town of Puttalam. Puttalam? Puttalam.
Sure. It's Sri
Okay.
Lanka. You can't really say it wrong.
Exactly. After residents gave chase to a suspected grease devil, police and witnesses said. Traditionally, a grease devil was a thief who wore only underwear and covered his body in grease to make himself hard to grab. But let me reread that. Grease devil was a thief who wore only underwear and covered his body in grease to make himself hard to grab. I would have went nude.
Yeah, right.
See, because I'm fat and no one wants to touch a greasy fat man.
Come on, man.
Most people are going to be like, you can let him go.
Just
Anyways, moving on. But the modern iteration has a far more sinister reputation as a prowling attacker of women. 5 people have died in outbreaks of violence related to the grease devil panic so far, including Sunday's incident. More than 30 incidents of violence and vigilantism have been reported in 8 districts in the country, primarily in areas inhabited by minority Muslim and Tamil people, as the government and opposition trade blame over the phenomenon. Some people had attacked a policeman on traffic duty in Puttalam town and had died after being admitted to the hospital. Police spokesman, I'm not even going to try to pronounce. Yeah, I'll try to pronounce it. Why not? Prashantha Jayakoda.
It's all you, man.
I sound like the guy for Jabba the Hutt.
There you go.
Mr. Jayakati, I'm going to say it's Mr. Jayakati. Mr. Jayakati said that a separate incident in Puttalam, people assaulted a police constable who went to the village. He declined to say that what prompted the attacks. Residents said people had spotted an unidentified man and given chase, but policemen on duty fired in the air and later toward the crowd. At least 5 people were injured, including a 13-year-old child, said an area resident by phone, speaking on a condition of anonymity for fear of angering the authorities. The government has said grease devils are merely criminals taking advantage of the traditional beliefs and spirits and devils in Sri Lanka's rural areas, and have vowed to punish those responsible for spreading panic about them. On Saturday, in nearby town of, here we go again, Kalpitia, town of Kalpitia, a government hospital refused. You would think we would pre-read this stuff and actually learn. No. That's the flavor and charm you get by this show.
Mm-hmm.
This is what you get what you pay for.
That's right.
Government hospital refused treatment to a suspected grease devil who was brought by the Navy after area residents attacked him. Hospital officials were angry at damage caused to the building after residents and Navy sailors who kept the man from being lynched got into a fight, local media reported. What I think this legend stems from, back on the 13 Skulls when I was doing Anomalous, I did a story on there about sex demons.
Mm-hmm.
I believe I had one on there about just this kind of thing. There was a creature in there that was pitch black, covered with grease, that would go out and impregnate women. I think that is what the core of this story comes from, or where the legend basis comes from. But like I said, if it were me, I'd probably just go straight up nude. I'd go buy me some cans of 40 grade motor oil, dump them all over, put some swimming goggles on, and I'd probably just go up and grab what I want and run. Because I'm not the most attractive man.
Oh, come on, man. Knock it off. Your wife seems to think you are.
But still, dude, I don't know. It's just wild. So basically, these people are just attacking people on the whim that somebody might be a grease devil, and the idea behind that.
Hooray for forward thinking. This one's from Natural News. This is going along with the theme this evening, strange. Doctors discover female reproductive system growing inside abdomen of Indian man admitted to hospital for stomach pains. Doctors treating an otherwise healthy Indian farmer who was recently admitted to a hospital near Bhopal, Madhya Pradesh, in India, was shocked to discover that the man, identified as Rayala, had a lot more than simple digestive problems in his pain-stricken abdomen, according to the Telegraph. Rayala's stomach pain was the result of a full set of female organs developing inside his gut.
Hot.
Ugh. Complete with uterus, ovaries, fallopian tubes, a cervix, and even partially developed vaginal tissue.
Very hot.
Whoa. According to Dr. I'm not even going to try.
Pramand Kamur Shrivastava?
Good. Look at you, like a big boy. A surgeon at the hospital where Rayula was admitted. I must have said that guy's name like 3 times differently now. The man appeared healthy, had fully functioning male sex organs, and was physically fit from working regularly in his fields. But upon closer inspection, the hernial sac discovered inside his body contained something entirely different and unexpected. Usually the contents of the hernial sac are abdomen organs like large intestines and small intestines. But when we operated on the patient, we were surprised to find female reproductive organs, said Dr. Shrivastava. There you go. We have removed the organs through a hysterectomy and repaired the hernia. Dr. Shrivastava added that while medically Rayalu, a hermaphrodite, his hormones and sexuality are obviously male. And oddly enough, Rayalu had not experienced any other serious health problems prior to recent hospital admittance, which is strikingly unusual considering the extent to which the man's female sex organs had developed. The external reproductive organs of the patient were masculine and has had no problems whatsoever with his sexuality, added Dr. Shrivastava. He had functional male genitals, and there was no formation of breasts in the patient. Well, it's an umbilical accident at the time of embryonic formation. One of the known contributors to and causes of such intersexual development is exposed to environmental toxins like pesticides and herbicides, both of which have been widely adopted by Indian farmers as part of
Monsanto
genetic modified crop systems. Conventionally weed-killing chemicals are also linked to sexual development problems, as was seen in 2010 study where frogs developed ambiguous sex organs.
Wow. That's
creepy. I mean, when I first started reading it, I'm like, all right, so they're going to find like maybe a uterus, but to find as much as they found, that's insane.
Mm-hmm.
And for him to not have any outward female characteristics is even stranger.
I'm struggling to find a joke right now in this. I'm struggling to come up with one I had. The only one I can come up with some kind of a PMS-oriented joke of some kind, and that's about it. I'm strangely at a loss of silly words right now. I guess it's just the bizarreness of it. But another thing is, where does it develop so late in life? You would expect something like this to happen when you're going through puberty, because that's when
probably started then. I mean, it was in the hernial sac, so it's been there a long time.
It just kept on growing?
Yeah, just kept right on growing.